Welcome to Beyond the Mission Doors, the new official podcast of the Erie City Mission, brought to you by Money Radio, WPSE. Every month we sit down with some people, partners, and stories shaping our community, from staff working on the front lines to residents rebuilding their lives to the specialists and organizations making our mission of restoring hope and transforming lives possible. On today's episode, we're going to talk about women in crisis, hope, healing, and the Haven Vision. We are joined with Jodie Krumpe, our Director of Women's Ministries, and nationwide, this is a crisis with women and children, and so we're attempting to address that. I'm your host, Brian Johansson, CEO of the Erie City Mission, and without further ado, let's get into it. So, Jodie, why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit to the listeners?
Well, thank you, Brian. Thank you for having me here today. My name's Jodie. I'm the Director of Women's Ministries at the Erie City Mission. I've been blessed for the last 2.5 years to be the director over our Women's New Life program, the Grace House. It's a daily blessing to come and help these women work through recovery and grow in their faith and the knowledge of Jesus Christ. So I'm just blessed. I'm blessed to be here today. I'm blessed to have this job.
So, Jodie, tell the listeners a little bit about Grace House. Like, how many women are there? How do you get into the program? What's a day look like? Just talk about Grace House.
Sure. So Grace House is a 9-month comprehensive recovery program. We have 13 beds for women who are in the active program. We also have a transitional housing or a 3-quarter program that has 7 beds. So how you get to the Grace House is if you've struggled with crisis, with drugs and alcohol, homelessness, you're able to submit a referral. Usually that's through email or phone call. You're then interviewed to see if you'd be a fit for our 9-month program. Our 9-month program has 3 phases. Each phase is 12 weeks long, and really that's just to help them progress through the process of working through their recovery, growing in their independence, and growing in their faith. So we try to focus on recovery classes and on spiritually faith-based classes throughout that whole period of time. Kind of what it is a day looks like. So it's pretty structured. We feel that teaching them, how to get up each morning, take their medications, get to class, get to a volunteer task, go to meetings at night, cook dinner for each other. All of those things help them grow in their recovery. So that's pretty much what a day in our program looks like.
You've often told me that sometimes things can get a little dramatic at the Grace House, and I think we attribute some of that for men and women to when you have an addiction issue, a lot of your emotional growth and a lot of your personal growth kind of is stunted. So in a way, you're dealing with 14-year-olds in 40-year-old bodies. And, I think the reality is a lot of them have been doing drugs for many, many, many years, both men and women. And you come up against this almost childlike approach to problems. And so talk to me quickly about that dynamic.
Yeah, so I think, yes, that can happen and there can be drama easily at the Grace House. But when you were asking that question, what really came to mind for me was that watching these women grow in their desire for recovery, if they show up and they are willing and they're willing to address their behaviors, they're willing to grow, they're willing to change, there's so much that we can do with that willingness. So when a behavior like that happens, what we're really looking for is the woman willing to address why they digress to that behavior. Are they willing to look at what's happened in their past that has caused that to happen? And when a woman has a willingness to do that, then we're able to work through those things with them. And we actually appreciate when those behaviors start to come out because we're able to really get to the root of what's brought them here to the Grace House.
That's a great response. Yeah. No, that's at the crux of it. And I think if you can see women kind of exhibiting some of those behaviors in a safe environment where we're here to help you grow, I think there's a win-win there for a lot of them.
Absolutely.
So do the women have to, is there a cost to coming in the program?
That's the wonderful thing about the Grace House. We have so many generous donors to the Erie City Mission and to our women's facility that these women are able to come and have this program for free, which also gives us the freedom to really work with them with what they need and the time frame that they need because we're not bound by insurance
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
the time structure like that.
it's huge. Talk to me quickly about volunteers at the Grace House. I know that they're a big part of the day.
They certainly are a huge part of our day. We have several volunteers. I think currently right now I have probably around 12 to 15 active volunteers. They come and teach the women classes like cooking and crochet and Bible study and art and music. Just a great group of women that come and do that with them weekly. Also, we have volunteers that come and help us with our weekend shifts. They'll come and cover a Sunday night shift for us, and it's neat to be able to bring in those women who are just there because they really want to be vested in these women's lives, and it's such a wonderful thing. We couldn't do what we do without our
Yeah.
active group of volunteers.
So we're going to transition our conversation to the future of Grace House. But before we do that, talk a little bit about women. Many of them have children. And so talk to me about that dynamic, leaving their children behind and being estranged from their children and all these different challenges.
Right. So they face all of those challenges. I mean, often they've already been estranged from their children due to their drug and alcohol use. And so that's a great part of our job is seeing women being restored back to relationship
Amen.
with their families and with their children and just the joy that it brings them and the kids. But there is that other aspect, women that still have custody of their children and needing to have a place to bring them to be able to recover and being able to structure a program that allows them to go through a structured program, but also to have their kids with them on campus.
We just had a big event for the mission last week called Broadway by the Bay, and that raised money at the Warner Theater for our work with women and children. And there was a young lady who shared her testimony, Leanne. Give me in a couple sentences that story that she told.
Yeah, so Leanne came to us. She has a beautiful young son named Honest, who's about to have his 4th birthday. To come into our program, and she had to find a safe place for Honest to go, which he is in a safe place, but that's been one of her biggest struggles with her time at the Grace House is not being able to have her young son with her and not being able to there's a lot of areas that Leanne can grow too in parenting and working with Honest and figuring out how to take on responsibility while she still has him. So it certainly would be very beneficial for Leanne to be able to have her son with her. And that's
And
what we're excited about.
I think we have found that, when women have to leave their children behind, the natural instinct of being a mother, their focus is on getting their child back as opposed to recovery. So their attention is in the wrong place. Well, it's in the right place, but it's not in what they need right now. And so, having said that, nationally, the statistic is, and I like numbers, as you know from our other podcasts, is 28% of national homelessness is women and women with children. So that's almost 1 in 3 of our national homelessness challenge is a woman or a woman with a child. We have gotten calls from the police here in Erie that they've come across a mother living in her minivan in the East Side Walmart parking lot with 2 children, and can we help? And the answer we have, unfortunately, right now is we do not have facilities to help that mother tragically in that situation. That's about to change. So, on this podcast, I want to announce that the Erie City Mission is going through the process of purchasing the Our Lady of Mount Carmel School on Grandview Boulevard, and we plan to convert that into 70 beds for mothers and children. And so that will become a comprehensive program. And so I want to talk a little bit about that because it's one thing for me to get a building, but Jodie has to make it happen. So there's a lot of pressure on Jodie. Jodie has to create something in that building that is going to be wonderful and is going to be something that's going to change lives for many, many years. So, we've been talking about this for a while, Jodie, about expanding our strategic plan called for working with women and children. And so we've been working probably for 2 years now on trying to figure out how to do that. We've had some generous donors give money that is seed money towards this, so God is blessing in that way. But we went through the phase, Jodie and I and her team, of designing a building. We thought we were going to build a building, and that didn't work out, and it was too much money. And God led us to this campus, up on this beautiful campus, up on Grandview Boulevard. And tell me from your perspective, Jodie, having been through the last 2 years of talking about this and to finally see this possibly come to fruition, tell me where you're at. What are your thoughts?
Well, the most exciting part for me about this process is just seeing what God has been doing in finding this beautiful, serene campus, to the people in the community who have come alongside us to support us, not only financially, but prayerfully and with their time. I've already had so many women come to say, how can I be a part of this? Which truly blesses me. And when I think about where we're at now, sort of when you were talking about meeting the needs of women in crisis holistically, women and children, a one-stop shop is really what comes to mind for me. That when we get that phone call, when the email we got last week about women who were being evicted from their apartment and they had 6 children among them and they had nowhere to go, that feeling that we have a place that we can bring them, that they will have a safe, warm place to hear about the Lord, to get them stable, to figure out what are the next path or steps to take them on to get them stable again. That's what I get excited about, is just that we will have the opportunity and the space to meet the immense needs of women and children in our community.
So what will happen in that building? So tell me, when it's up and running completely, what, in a couple sentences, what's going to happen there?
So what's neat about it's actually going to be 2 facilities in one. Our Women's New Life program, that's quite structured for, a recovery process, that we are going to be taking that over there and still running that, also allowing children to come and be part of that. So it is going to change some, but not completely. But the most exciting part is the immediate housing for women in crisis. We are not able right now, when a woman is on the street and needs a safe place to stay, we are not able to just take them. And I can't wait for that time when we'll be able, yes, it will have challenges. Yes, it will be difficult at times, but we will have a place to meet the immediate need of a woman in crisis. That's truly what my team and myself are most excited about.
Yeah, and you look at the facility, you walk around it, and it has helped so many kids for decades. And then you walk the hallways of that school and you see the potential of converting those classrooms into beautiful little apartments for families and a beautiful cafeteria, dining room. You see the potential for playground in the courtyard with swings and slides. And I just, you ask God to give you the eyes that He has of what the potential is. Not only for the people we serve, but also the potential for that facility. I mean, God, give us your eyes of how you see these people and how you see that. What is your plan? And I see through your eyes that that's a full, vibrant building with kids running around and women, doing their laundry and in a class, learning together and eating together, cooking for one another, and thinking about the future of where they're going to go. And again, a woman can come in there and there's not a time limit. It's not like, well, you need to be out of here in 30 days. It's like sometimes, often, in fact, most times, you need to be able to spend a few months, 6 months figuring out what the next steps are and where do I need to go. And so we're excited about the potential of this, and we're excited about what God is doing. More to come on this as we talk about this in the future. We're asking everybody, Jodie, in the podcast, do you have a favorite verse, Bible verse, that you would throw out there to our listeners? Do you have a favorite verse?
I have a life verse,
Well, tell us what
which
that is.
is Galatians 2:20. I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. In the life I now live in the faith, I live through the Son of God who loved me and died for me.
Beautiful.
That's my go-to verse.
Well, thank you. Well, so that's a wrap for us. It was wonderful to have Jodie with us. Thank you for listening to the Beyond the Mission Doors podcast. Huge thank you to Jodie Krumpe for joining us today. If you'd like to learn more about the Erie City Mission or get involved, please visit eriecitymission.org. Tune in next time, and remember, this is our city, our mission.